Hello and welcome to another 30-minute yoga practice with Driven. My name is Beth and I'm your instructor today. Today's practice is about being present, staying present in life, but for now, staying present in our practice. It's an important part of a yoga practice. Really helps with stress and anxiety and just being more open to the world around us. So we'll practice it here and then see if maybe we can take some of those skills off the mat as well. I'm so glad you're here. It's going to be a great practice. We're going to start on our backs, which is actually my favorite way to start. So come all the way down on your back and you can keep your knees bent. And this time, normally we don't do this, but this time walk your feet out to the edges of your mat and let your knees fall in. And then just relax your arms out to the sides, palms facing up. If this isn't comfortable in any way, you can make some adjustments. For some people this is hard on the lower back, so if it is, you can put your hands under your hips. That sometimes helps, or you can put a little roll up a little towel and put it under your hips. But otherwise, make sure you're comfortable. Make any adjustments if you're not. Tuck your shoulder blades in if they're digging into your mat. And pause for a moment and be present in this pose. So what does that even mean, to be present in a pose? It means to be thinking about or noticing how your body feels in the pose. Maybe your attention is going to one particular part of your body. And if not, you can bring your attention to different parts of your body. Usually we would start at, let's say, the top of the head and feel the head resting on the earth. And then move down your body. You'll notice as you go down your neck, it might be the curve of the neck might cause you not to feel the neck touching the mat. So maybe your neck is away from the mat, or maybe it is on the mat, so just notice that. Moving down into your upper back and shoulders, just noticing if each shoulder is meeting the mat in the same way, or maybe one shoulder is pressing into the mat a little more than the other, or one shoulder feels closer to the foot than the other. So maybe you're not exactly even or parallel with the shoulders. So just notice that. And then continue to go down your whole body, just noticing how it feels to be in this pose. We often say that when you want to be present, to use your five senses in any given moment. So we're using the sense of touch right now, noticing how the body is touching the earth and not touching the earth. Maybe your eyes are closed and you can just feel the light penetrating your eyelids, or if your eyes are open, you can notice what you're seeing, notice the colors, notice the shadows. And you just go through each sense of taste, maybe lick your lips and just notice the taste in your mouth. Sense of smell, maybe there are some aromas in the room. And then of course the sense listening to any sounds outside of the room, birds chirping, dogs barking, that kind of thing, and the sound of my voice as well. So this is a slow way to start a yoga practice. Notice if you're getting a little, maybe even bored, or maybe you want to start moving. Notice that too. Notice how that feels in your body. Or if this is exactly where you want to be, notice that. So we notice all of the sensations, physical and emotional, about any given moment. And when there are emotional sensations, we try not to think about the trigger of that emotion, but where it's manifesting in the body. All right, so let's start moving out of this pose. Walk your feet towards the center line of the mat and bring your arms up to a T shape, palms facing up. And just start rocking the knees from side to side, nice and slowly at first.
As your legs are coming across, you can add a little pelvic tilt there so you get a nice massage of your lower back. And then the next time your knees are coming over to the right, you can keep them there. Let them fall down to the earth. Now, if your feet were hip distance apart, then your knees are apart right here also. So you can either stay right there and notice how that feels, or you can change it up a little bit by lifting your hips up off the mat, bringing your left hip over to the right a little bit more, and then stacking your joints so that your right hip is over your left hip and the right knee starts to come over the left knee. Try to keep that left shoulder on the mat. The right shoulder on the mat. It likes to lift up here. So as much as you can, try to keep that shoulder down so you get a nice stretch across the side body. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, turn your head to the right and hold. And now notice in the body if anything is kind of jumping out at you, like I'm feeling a really deep stretch through my hip. Maybe you're feeling something else. So just bring your attention there and notice how it feels. Nothing should hurt. If anything is uncomfortable, make an adjustment so that that discomfort goes away. And then also check out the rest of your body, especially the parts of your body that you're not using, like your toes are not really involved in this pose too much, so they should be nice and relaxed. Check to make sure there's no tension in your toes or your ankles. If you're holding this pose with the joints stacked, you might feel a little tension now, or maybe the stretch is getting deeper. Notice that. And then also notice your breath. Are you holding your breath? Are you breathing freely? There is a saying in yoga that says the pose begins with the breath. So we get into the pose, we relax into it, and then we just feel the breath moving in and out. All right, let's go back to that starting position. So adjust your hips, bring the feet back to hip distance apart, and then let the legs float from side to side. Maybe the second time around it feels different, so notice that. The thing about trying to stay present in a practice is that sometimes it's hard and sometimes the mind wanders onto other things, maybe to an injury that you had, or maybe to the next thing on your list, or maybe you're hungry and you're thinking about dinner or lunch. That's normal. But when we catch ourselves doing that, we want to just acknowledge that our mind is wandering and we're not being present, and then bring the attention back to the practice. All right, so the next time the knees are over to the right, keep them there. So you can just be in this soft version of the pose, relax into it, let the limbs fall where they want to be, or you can go a little deeper by lifting the hips, bringing that right hip over to the left, and then stacking the joints. Trying to keep that left shoulder on the mat as much as you can. Bring that the left hip over the right. Maybe the knees are stacking. Do the best you can. It might not be perfect. No worries. Just make it your own practice. But when you get there, notice and then breathe. So notice how this side is different from the other side. My right side is definitely different than the left. You check that out for yourself. Make adjustments so that nothing hurts. It just feels like a nice deep stretch. Relax all the muscles that are not really involved in this pose. And then check out your breath. Make sure it's nice and steady. Inhaling through the nose. Nice long exhale through the nose. And then just notice how this pose feels the longer you hold it. There's another saying in yoga that says the pose begins when you want to get out of it. And I love that because, it makes us think about, well, when we want to get out of it, do we just get out of it? Why do we want to get out of it? Can we stay in it? What happens if we stay in it? And they say all these sayings today, but they also say how you are in your yoga practice is how you are in real life, which really gets me thinking. So anyway, all these words of wisdom for us today. All right, let's come out of this. Bring those knees back to the starting position. Adjust your hips. Straighten your right leg on the mat and just hug your left knee into the chest. Both ankles are flexed. Give yourself a nice deep hug. If you can, press your thigh into your belly. And then switch legs as you inhale. Exhale, pull that leg in on the right side. One more time on each side. And again, always, being present, noticing how that feels in your hip and your thigh. Maybe your stomach is grumbling. Notice that. And then one more time on the right. All right, extend that right leg on the mat. Bring your arms up overhead. Stretch in opposite directions. And then slowly bring your arms up to the ceiling. Take another deep breath in. And as you exhale, chin to the chest and start rolling up into staff pose. One vertebrae at a time, using your belly to lift you. First, bring your arms all the way up to the ceiling, reaching up high. Lift your gaze and relax your arms down to the sides. Palms are on the mat. Nice and tall here. So maybe you have 90 degrees at your hips, which means you need to straighten your back, shoulders pressed down, and for a lot of us that means leaning forward a little bit. Ankles are flexed, toes are pointing up, and backs of the knees are pressing into the mat. So nice tall seated posture. This is staff pose. Top of the head reaching up towards the mat. Nice long neck. If you're really engaged in the pose, you feel it, right? It looks like we're just sitting here, but you feel this pose. Toes are pointing up, heels are pushing away from you. Pull the navel in, pull the pelvic floor up, and just notice. Breathe. Can you hold this pose in full energetic form, or are you wanting to kind of slouch out of it? The longer you hold it, you also feel your back muscles starting to kick in. One more breath. And then on your next breath, bring your arms all the way up. Hinge at the hips and fold over. Reaching forward as far as you can. Reach, reach, reach. And then bring your arms down. You have lots of options here. You can just rest your hands on your calves or your ankles, or you can grab onto your toes. Or if you really want to reach, you can put blocks or books at the end of your feet and reach even further. Just go as far as it feels good for you. Keep your back straight though to start. So back is straight, shoulders are down, head is in line with your spine. Press the backs of the knees into the mat. Big hamstring stretch here. Keep the belly pulled in. One more breath. Inhale. And then exhale. Round out the spine. Bring your chin to your chest. You can even bring your forearms down to your mat, pressing your elbows down towards the earth. If they make it there, they might not make it all the way. No worries. Just come to your best version of this pose. Chin is all the way at the chest, and notice those hamstrings. Boy, those are really talking to us right now. One more breath. And then relax your posture. Great job. All right, let's swing the legs around and just come up to a standing posture, so you can transition any way you want. You can come through down dog if you want and pause there. It's almost like now yoga practice if you don't get into down dog, right? All right, and then make your way up to the top of your mat. Reverse swan dive. Come all the way up, reach up high. Maybe do a little stretching from side to side. And relax your arms down. All right, here we go. Inhale, bring your arms all the way up. And exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Step your left foot back. So feet are parallel with each other. Drop the hips a little bit up on the fingertips, so cupcake hands. And then start walking your hands towards me and adjust your feet. Now my right foot is turning, and I'm coming onto the ball of my right foot. My left foot is out, and I'm pointing my toes up on my left side. All right? So notice how that feels. You can keep your hands on the earth just for a few moments to get grounded. There's a nice stretch here in the groin. Toes are pointing up over there. Or if you feel like you need a little bit more balance, you can release those toes towards the earth as well. All right? So steady yourself here. Pull your belly in, up on your fingertips. And we're going to try to bring our hands to our heart. So this is a balancing posture. And we want to be present in everything about this balance. All right? So when you're ready, bring your hands to your heart. Try to bring your shoulders over your hips. You might feel your ankle on the right side kind of wobbling all over. That's okay. If it's hard to keep this balance, you can keep one hand down, you can keep two hands down, no worries. Some people do better when they bring their hands to their thighs and then lift up through there. Make the pose your best version. And notice. It's really interesting to stay present when the body's kind of shifting all over. There's a little bit of fear that starts to build, like, oh, I'm going to fall. Well, we're close to the ground, so it's okay. You're not going to go very far. But notice not only physically what's happening, but also in the kind of emotional part of ourselves. All right, bring the arms back down. And then just straighten that right knee and come into a forward bend with legs apart. Release all the way down. You can grab onto your ankles if you want. Pull deeper into the pose. Relax your head. Let gravity pull your head closer to the earth. And let that neck just get a little bit of stretching in there. And then bring your hands to the mat under your head and just shift your weight from side to side. We're going to do the same thing on the other side, but maybe a nice little stretch will feel good before we go. And then the next time you're shifting over to the left, let's do that same thing. So come all the way down to the left side, come up onto the ball of the foot on the left, and then adjust that right foot so toes can be pointing straight up. You can bring the toes down for just a little bit more leverage, or just, let them be wherever they need to be so that it feels good. And just pause here for a moment and just notice what you notice. Be present in this pose. So maybe a deep stretch in the hamstring, maybe you're feeling it in the knee or the calf. If this hurts your knee, then skip this. You can just come into a nice side stretch and still get the benefit of the stretch. But sometimes this is hard on the knee. So be mindful of that. Nothing should hurt in yoga. That's what I say. All right. So whenever you're ready, you can start your balancing. Maybe you want to just bring one hand to your knee or one hand to your heart. If that's as far as you want to go, that's fine. Or if you want to do both hands, fix your gaze and then bring your hands to heart center. And notice, wow, real wobbly on this side. Notice how it feels. Notice um, notice what comes up for you emotionally. Are you okay with it? Just be present. Just be in it. Just feel it. Enjoy it. Breathe. And then relax. All right. Coming back up into that forward um, bend with knees apart. Relax into the forward bend, but this time bring your hands under you and point your hands behind you. And then walk your hands out as far as you can. And then release your pose. Release your body into the pose. So relax your neck, reaching, walking the fingertips a little bit further. Palms should be on the mat. Nice stretch through the arms and the shoulders. Weight is in the toes. One more breath. And then relax your posture. Walk your hands all the way back over to the right again, how we started. And then walk that right foot back into down dog. Pedal it out. And then bring your knees to the mat.
Cross your ankles, make your way onto your back, and come all the way down onto your mat. This is how we started, starting on our back and finishing up on our back, because everything goes full circle in life, right? Bring your knees into your shoulders. Give yourself a nice hug. Rock from side to side. And then release your feet all the way back to the earth. Bring your arms along the sides of your body, palms facing down. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, lift your head, neck, shoulders up off the mat, and reach on the sides of your legs. Reach up towards your knees using your core. Pull your belly in. Shoulders should be relaxed. And then come all the way back down. Exhale, lift up and reach. And then all the way back down. Lift up and down. So you can stay right here and keep doing it this way, or you can bring your legs up, ankles, knees, inner thighs pressing in together, and you can continue doing this little crunch. Knees are at an angle. Or if you want to just get a little movement in the hips, you can bring the legs straight up perpendicular to the floor. So lots of different ways to do these crunches just to strengthen the core a little bit. Try not to lead with your shoulders. Try to let all the energy come from your belly. 2 more. And then release your legs, bend your knees, and start doing reverse crunches. We're going to end up in yoga bicycles. But for now, just bring your knees up and lift your hips up off the mat a little bit. Little reverse crunching here, good for the lower abs. And you can just keep doing this if you want. Or you can go into yoga bicycles, and you can do that in 2 different ways. You can do it with your hips on the mat. All right, extending the one leg all the way out, and that opposite knee is pulling in. I see this a lot, but we can do better by really extending that leg, almost like we're on a unicycle with that big wheel. So extending the leg out. So you can do it with your hips on the mat, or if you want, you can lift your hips up off the mat and do it with your hips up. So yogi's choice there. You decide what's better for you today. I'm going to do it with my hips on the mat. Nice and slow. I also see people like they're in that bicycle race. What's that one they do in France? I always think of that. This is nice and slow, like we're just taking a scenic little bike ride somewhere. Few more. So you might be feeling this in your belly, especially if you're keeping your core engaged. And let's do just a couple in the opposite direction. The hips are loving this, knees too. And then pause right here. Give yourself a hug. Lift your head, neck, and shoulders up off the mat. Wrap your arms around your shins and just rock from side to side. Pause in the center. Bring your hands under your knee crease and roll up into a seated position. And then all the way back. We'll just roll up and down a couple times. Get a nice massage in the back. It's free. Might as well, right? And then we'll finish up balancing on the sitting bones. Back is straight. You can release your heels down to the mat if you like. You can keep your legs lifted, or you can straighten your knees. Yogi's choice. Bring your arms out in front of you, palms facing up. Spine is straight, so shine that heart up, and then release your shoulders down towards the mat a little bit. So again, you have 3 different ways to hold this pose. Take a deep breath in, and a deep breath out. Try to keep the spine straight, chest shining up, gaze is up. Notice where you feel this. You might feel your belly trembling. That's all right. Inhale and exhale. 2 more breaths. Shoulders are relaxed. And release your posture. Straighten your legs on the mat. Bring your arms up overhead and forward fold. Press the spine back. Release your head all the way down. Reaching forward as far as you can. And then straightening your spine. All right, bring the soles of your feet together. I'm going to turn towards you into butterfly pose. You can just hang on to your ankles this time. So nice tall posture. Root down through your sitting bones. Lift up out of your hips. Shoulders are over your hips. Neck is nice and long. Try to relax these muscles here in the hip crease. Just kind of let them go and see if the knees will float maybe a centimeter closer to the earth. Just notice. Notice the urge that a lot of people have to kind of round through the back as they hold this pose longer. So see if you can keep that spine straight. Notice if the stretch in the groin is the same on both sides, or if one side is feeling this stretch more intensely. Notice the soles of the feet coming together. Notice if that's creating any heat or if the feet are cold. Notice the fabric of your clothing against your skin. Grab onto your big toes with your 2 peace sign fingers and pull those toes towards you. And just notice how the toes start to separate. Notice how that feels. And then you can stay right here for a couple more breaths, trying to stay present in this pose, examining every part of this pose. Be really curious about it. Or if you want to add movement, you can start just kind of flapping those butterfly wings, getting some movement in the hip joint. This kind of movement is what keeps the joints lubricated. So we like to get that movement in there. We got to move. We got to continue to move. Flap those wings. Notice how it feels. Maybe cultivate a little bit of gratitude that we can move like this. And find stillness. Release your posture. Bring your legs out in front of you. Shake them out. Bring the arms up overhead. Reach up high. And then as you exhale, push your spine back. Make your way back to the mat. Trying to have a little bit of control as you release all the way back down. Bring your arms up overhead. Stretch in opposite directions. Rotate your ankles and your wrists. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, relax your posture. And we'll just have a little bit of a shavasana here. Always the best way to end a practice, allowing all the benefits of your practice to take hold. So turn your palms up, tuck your shoulder blades in, relax your feet, close your eyes, deep breath in through the nose. Open mouth, exhale, nice and loud like you mean it. And then just go back to your breath. Especially in these last few moments of our practice, staying present, not moving on mentally to the next thing on your list. Just stay right here. That thing will be there. Just be curious of the breath going in and out of your body. How does that inhale feel different from your exhale? How are the sounds different, inhale and exhale? What about the sensation of the breath going in around your nostrils? How does that feel different from the exhale?
So if you can stay here for a few minutes more, that would be great. Enjoying this rest. Or if you need to end your practice, then I'll end it with you. Just roll up into a seated position. Just come into any posture that's comfortable at this point. But sitting up nice and tall, take a deep breath in through your nose. Open mouth exhale. Bring your hands to heart center. The light in me salutes the light in you. Namaste. Sending good energy and lights to all of you. I hope you're all doing well and staying healthy and keep moving. Thanks for joining me today. And just keep in mind this idea of being present, not only in your yoga practice, but in your daily life as well. Activate those five senses just to know where you are in any given moment. Great practice. Hope to see you next time. Be sure to check out all the Driven YouTube videos. Stay well, everybody.